Good morning and welcome to Sunday morning on Inside the Toon. Grab yourself a coffee, settle in, and let's look back at everything that happened around Newcastle United over the past 7 days. From transfer rumours to the biggest talking points, this is the week that was. I'm Ken, the Inside the Toon guy. Let's do it, shall we? So as of today, the biggest story is Arsenal's interest in Bruno, but Newcastle's response has been immediate and firm. Arsenal make their move. Multiple reliable, apparently, outlets are reporting that Arsenal have held talks with Bruno's representatives, made a firm verbal offer believed to be under 60 million. Seen that approach rejected immediately by Newcastle. They've been rejected by Newcastle. The message coming out of St James's Park is very clear. Bruno is not for sale. Newcastle have no intention of negotiating. There's been no indication that Bruno himself that he wants to leave. But what about Bruno? Bruno is currently with Brazil at the World Cup, and reports suggest he remains fully focused on international duty. He hasn't asked to leave Newcastle. His representatives are aware of interest, as happens with elite players. But that's very different from the player pushing for a transfer. So why Arsenal? Mikel wants another top-class midfielder, despite already strengthening his squad. Bruno is viewed as one of Europe's elite midfielders and fits Arsenal's style perfectly, which explains their interest. My view, at the moment, I put it as this. Yes, Arsenal are interested, genuine. Talks with Bruno camp, most likely genuine. Verbal approach, genuine. Newcastle willing to sell? No. Bruno pushing to leave? No evidence whatsoever. This feels more like Arsenal testing Newcastle's resolve than a deal that's close. Unless Bruno's stance changes dramatically, Newcastle appear determined to keep their captain. So Arsenal test Newcastle. Bruno bid rejected, but is this just the beginning? So why is Bruno so important to Newcastle United and us fans? It's because he has become more than just the best midfielder. Since arriving in January 22, he has grown into the emotional heartbeat of the club, the captain, and one of the symbols of Newcastle's rise under the current ownership. And here are the biggest reasons why he means so much. He set the standard. Bruno plays with intensity every single week. Whether Newcastle are winning or struggling, he demands the ball, battles for every challenge, and expects those around him to match his level. Supporters love players who wear their heart on their sleeve, and Bruno does exactly that. He's made Newcastle tick. Almost every phase of Newcastle play goes through him. He can win the ball back, dictate the tempo, switch play with long passes, break defensive lines, create chances, and score important goals. Very few midfielders combine defensive work with creativity as well as he does. He's Eddie Howe's on-pitch coach. Eddie Howe trusts Bruno to organise the midfield, calm the game when needed, and raise the intensity when Newcastle need momentum. When Bruno plays well, Newcastle usually play well. Bruno, he understands the fans. One reason supporters have connected with him so strongly is that he genuinely embraced the club from day one. He often spoke about loving the city, loving St James's Park, wanting to leave a legacy, giving everything for the shirts. That authenticity has made him a fan favourite. He represents the new Newcastle. When Newcastle signed Bruno from Olympique Lyon, it felt like a statement that the club could attract elite talent again. Since then, he has helped Newcastle qualify for the Champions League, compete for trophies, become respected across Europe, establish themselves among England's leading clubs. He's become one of the faces of the transformation. He's worth far more than a transfer fee. So could Newcastle receive 100 million for Bruno? Possibly. Possible. But replacing him is another matter. The players who offer elite technical quality, leadership, Premier League experience, international pedigree, captaincy, and a deep connection with supporters are incredibly rare. Selling him would mean trying to replace all of those qualities, not just his statistics. He attracts other players. Top players want to join ambitious teams that already have world-class footballers. Having Bruno at Newcastle sends a message that the club intends to compete at the highest level, making recruitment easy. The ITT verdict, my verdict for Newcastle supporters, Bruno is more than a footballer. He's the captain, the leader, the heartbeat of the midfield, and one of the biggest reasons fans believe the club can continue moving forward. And that's why every transfer rumour involving him generates such a strong reaction. It's not simply about losing a talented player. It's about the potential loss of the identity, the leadership that has become central to this Newcastle era. Howay the Lads. But waiting to see is not always the best option. So let's see if we can read between the lines. So when you've got several reliable reporters are saying similar things, a picture emerges. Tottenham's interest appears genuine. Newcastle have rejected at least one approach. Tonali has not publicly or privately pushed for a move, according to the best connected reporters. So nothing about friends or even foes there. And that Newcastle's valuation is around 100 million plus. So the one unknown is whether Tonali himself eventually decides he wants Champions League football elsewhere. There is currently no strong evidence from Downey, Hope, Orstein or Romano that he has done so. So as of the 22nd of June 2026, the most credible story is Tottenham have tried, Newcastle have said no, and Sandro Tonali remains a Newcastle United player at the moment. Massive worry, obviously, that I don't want to lose any more of our top players. I think Tonali fits in perfectly in the shape of Newcastle's midfield, and to replace him, nearly impossible. With somebody at his age now, it's vital that we hang on to Sandro Tonali. So who is Abdeeb? Well, he's Real Betis at the moment. He's a left winger, wide forward, right-footed. His contract reported until 29, and transfer market list him at around 40 million euros. Abdeeb is a direct, explosive winger who likes receiving wide on the left, isolating fullbacks and driving into the box. He came through Hercules, moved to Barcelona, and then had a loan spell or two before joining Real Betis. His 25-26 La Liga numbers are eye-catching. FotMob had him with 10 goals and 8 assists, with a 7.52 average rating across the season. That's a proper step up from early Betis campaigns, where his end product was more inconsistent. For Newcastle, the appeal is obvious. He brings pace, one-on-one ability, flair, ball carrying, and unpredictability. He would suit a side needing more threats from wide areas, especially if the club wants someone who can attack defenders rather than just recycle possession. The Chronicle reported on the 1st of June that Betis were aware of Newcastle's interest, but there had been no bids at that point. The big question is consistency. He can be electric, but like many dribbling wingers, he can also drift in and out of games. There's also a fitness note. Reuters reported he was ruled out of the Morocco World Cup squad after suffering a knee injury in a friendly against Norway. So the verdict, Abdi feels like a very Eddie Howe project type of winger. High energy, quick, brave, and still with room to improve. Not risk-free, especially after the injury, but if Newcastle want a left-sided attacker with genuine spark, he's definitely one to keep an eye on. So, is he going to be the solution for Eddie Howe? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Since arriving at Newcastle in November 21, Eddie Howe has transformed the club from relegation candidates into regular European challengers. His reign has been built on hard work, tactical organisation, and a strong team culture. Across 231 matches, Howe has recorded 116 wins and averages 1.69 points per game, making him one of the club's most successful modern managers. He guided Newcastle back into the Champions League, delivered memorable nights at St James's Park, and helped establish a platform for long-term growth. While challenges remain, Howe has restored belief, ambition, and pride to Newcastle United supporters everywhere. His managerial career shows steady growth, resilience, and a clear identity. From Bournemouth's rise on the south coast to Burnley and now Newcastle, his teams have consistently delivered competitive point returns. At Newcastle, Howe's 1.69 points per match stands out. 116 wins from 231 games, showing the scale of the transformation since November 21. His record reflects tactical detail, belief, consistency, and progress. It's not always been smooth, but the numbers show a manager who builds, improves, and evolves. The big question now is how far can he take Newcastle next? I think 26-27 is a big season for Eddie Howe. The biggest positive is that Newcastle should start with a much stronger foundation than they had in 25-26. Injuries, disruption last season, a difficult summer window, and the sale of Alexander Isak. Despite that, Eddie Howe kept his standards high and guided the club through another demanding campaign. For me, there are three key factors: recruitment this summer. If Newcastle finally get their business done early and add quality in key areas, Howe has shown he can improve players and build a cohesive side. 2. Fitness and availability. Losing hundreds of player games to injury hurt badly. A healthier squad could easily be worth another 10 to 15 points. And 3. Tactical evolution. Eddie Howe may need to become more flexible. The best managers adapt, and there were times in the 25-26 season when Newcastle looked too predictable. My expectation for the upcoming season, Premier League, anywhere between 5th and 8th. Domestic Cups, a quarter-final or better. And in Europe, qualification. I still think Eddie's the right man for the job. He's earned that trust through what he has already achieved. But next season feels like the start of a new chapter rather than a continuation of the old one. If recruitment is strong and injuries ease, I wouldn't be surprised to see Newcastle pushing for the top 4 again. But a big question, has Eddie Howe reached his ceiling at Newcastle, or is his best work still ahead of him? Tell me what you think and comment down below if you wish. But fingers crossed this summer window will be excellent and it'll give Eddie the tools and the players to evolve and make Newcastle really, really special for us supporters. If we look at Bruno's Performance against the Scottish, the Newcastle United midfielder played all 90 minutes, and he had a sofa score of about 8, I believe. And Brazil were comfortable in their 3-0 win over the Scottish in Group C. And the Newcastle United captain dictated the tempo from midfield, recycling possession intelligently, linking defence with attack, and providing his trademark composure throughout. While Junior grabbed the headlines with a brace and Kuna sealed the victory, Bruno's all-round display ensured Brazil remained in complete control from start to finish. So it was another complete performance from the Brazilian midfield general. Sofa score of 8, minutes 90, 2 assists, an assist XG of 0.68. Bruno was at the heart of another commanding Brazilian performance, registering the 2 assists as the Brazilians swept the Scottish aside. He created 2 big chances, delivered 3 key passes, and completed 38 out of 46 passes, while maintaining a perfect 16 out of 16 passes in his own half. On the ball, Bruno drove Brazil forward with 19 carries, including 4 progressive carries, totaling 68 metres, constantly linking defence and attack. Off the ball, he contributed 9 recoveries, 2 clearances, and covered 11.6 kilometres, showcasing the tireless work rate that makes him one of Brazil's most influential players. So it reflects another composed, creative, and complete midfield display as Brazil finished the group stage in style. My verdict: he's the conductor of Brazilian's midfield orchestra, 2 assists and complete control. Bruno bossed it. Newcastle's winger Anthony Elanga provided Sweden's bright moment in an otherwise difficult afternoon, pulling a goal back in the 59th minute during the 5-1 defeat to the Netherlands. Elanga latched on to an excellent pass from ex-Magpie Alexander Isak before finishing confidently to make it 4-1. Although it proved to be a consolation, the connection combined to deny the Dutch a clean sheet. Anthony Elanga was also FIFA Player of the Match, and he deserved it. He delivered another energetic World Cup performance as Sweden secured a 1-1 draw against Japan. Playing the full 90 minutes, the winger was a constant outlet with his pace, work rate, and direct run-in, helping Sweden recover after falling behind. His persistence paid off when he grabbed the 62nd minute equaliser, finishing confidently to rescue an important point for Sweden. He also trapped back and pressed aggressively and remained a threat on the counter-attack throughout the contest. A 7.7 SOFA score rating reflects a strong all-round display. Combining attacking quality with defensive commitment, it was another reminder of why he has become such an important player for Sweden, and hopefully he can turn that into action for Newcastle next season. His key moments: the goal came in the 62nd minute, and it came when he had an XG of 0.08. He made that goal, a ruthless finish. He had 2 shots, both on target eventually, and he showed he made the better chance. The chance looked better with the finish. He was also the most fouled Sweden player 5 times. He did win 6 out of 8 ground duels. He had 46 touches, and he had plenty of direct carrying. The passing was steady, 19 out of 25. Though the final ball wasn't quite there, with no accurate crosses out of 3 attempts. And Mr. Isak was not a happy chap, apparently, allegedly. So very Anthony Elanga, and nice to see him striking back. For the second time, Newcastle's Dan Burn sat and watched the match out, not being required by Mr. Tuchel, the manager. Anthony Gordon started the match, but didn't finish it. He was substituted on the 65th minute, being replaced by Saka. With England struggling to break down the disciplined Ghana side, Anthony Gordon was introduced to add pace and directness on the left flank. However, England were unable to find a breakthrough and the match ended goalless. So no goals, but plenty of intent from Anthony. 41 touches, 2 key passes, 20 out of 22 passes completed successfully. He covered 6.5 kilometres and 5 dribbles, 2 of which was successful. He had 12 ground duels and he won 6 of them. And he had 1 shot on target. So Gordon gave England some much needed directness, especially in Ghana's half. His 2 key passes, 3 fouls won and 3 progressive carries showed he was trying to force the issue, even if the final product didn't quite land. A lively, energetic display in a frustrating 0-0 afternoon for Anthony. Elliot Anderson had a strong all-round midfield display. He was busy, tidy and competitive. 91 touches, 66 out of 74 passes successful, 3 out of 3 tackles won, 5 recoveries and 6 duels won. Show a player who got through plenty of work. The attacking edge was missing though. 4 shots, 0 on target, but he carried responsibility well in a frustrating England performance. He was the busy midfield engine and he did stand tall, but there was control, but there was no spark. Newcastle United's Malik Chow finally appeared on the World Cup stage for 30 minutes in total, coming on as a sub in the 60th minute. And he was introduced as Germany looked to recover after Ecuador had equalised. Unfortunately, Germany couldn't find that winning goal, ending the perfect group stage record, already having secured qualification for the round of 32. Malik Chow, 30 minutes, 25 out of 30 passes, 3 defensive, 2 tackles, 4 out of 6 duels won, and nobody dribbled past him. So it's a tidy, controlled cameo from Malik in a difficult game. And Chow kept the ball moving, won his tackles, and looked composed, but Germany needed more going forward after falling behind. The BBC did a really good article when you finish with my video, and if you got time, then pop over to the BBC and read their article. It's really good. But it frames the 24-25 numbers into 3 simple columns to follow if you're into spreadsheets. And Newcastle generated 335.3 million in income. Commercial income had grown to 120 million, in matchday income to 51 million. And this is where the kicker kicks in with the big 6, etc. Newcastle remain 155 million behind Chelsea, who are just 1 above us. So there's obviously significant room that remains for growth. Matchday income for us, 51 million. You look at Liverpool, who are top of the pile, 116 million every match day. So without significant changes to St James's Park and or a new ground, we're not going to match that. And that's quite a gap in our potential abilities to grow. The other opportunities are obviously commercial partnerships, global sponsorship deals, and obviously increase European participation. So the numbers we're going to see coming out in later this year for 25-26 season will show the European income that we can add into the pile, but then that disappears obviously because we're not in Europe for 26-27 when the numbers come out in July 27, for example. So there's lots to do. I'll keep an eye on this as the numbers roll out and do comparisons and do update reports as well. Newcastle have done well as far as the Knox deal. That's my personal opinion. But in the Premier League revenue table, we're still going to end up 7th or 8th most seasons. And even with Villa upgrading their ground, Leeds are upgrading their ground. There's others that are going to catch us up over the next season or two, depending on whether they're in Europe or what commercial deals they can write with their partners, etc. So we'll watch this space, and yeah, not a boring subject for me. I love numbers, but possibly for everyone else, if you want to understand why we cannot compete on salary, why we cannot compete with the big six, it's all down to that. And unless we earn it, we are not allowed to spend it. That is the SCR rules. So the one big question for this week is, are Newcastle finally moving early? Are we still waiting for the real statement signing? Yeah, one arrived. Munzer didn't. And the rebuild theme and the fans' anxiety about whether Newcastle are being proactive or just testing the waters. So would you rather see Newcastle sign potential or proven Premier League quality? Let me know. Has the Toon rebuild officially started? And are Newcastle being smart or playing it safe? So are Newcastle finally moving early? Or are they waiting for the real statement sign-in? What would you like to do? Get involved and tell me down below. I'm Ken, the Inside the Toon guy. And thank you for watching the Sunday morning edition. So that's a week that was for Newcastle. Thanks for joining me this Sunday morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, I'll see you very soon. Howay the lads.